Here we go. We're live and we're recording for Friday morning bite-sized conversations with me, Kylie Mowbray Allen, and my digital BFF, Jenny Walk of Elephant in the Room Consulting. How are you going today, Jenny?
I am really well, Kylie. How are you today? It's nice to be with you after a crazy week of getting over COVID still, which sucks because it lingers on forever, it seems. I'm feeling pretty good today.
That's tough. I was just saying to my husband last night, for the first time in forever, I feel absolutely like there's one drop left in the glass.
That's exactly how I feel.
But my grandmother died on Wednesday.
I know.
And she's 101, so it wasn't unexpected, and she just had lived a very glorious life. But there's something about that happening, and maybe because it has been a massive lead up to it. And, so I just felt like by the end of last night, I'd been on Zoom for like 10 hours and I was like, whoa. He's like, how are you feeling? How are you feeling? I want to talk about your granny and all that. I was like, dude, there's one drop left in the glass. So yeah, you with your COVID recovery and me with my one drop.
We're here and we, as always, as every Friday, having a chat. But what I love about this, it energizes me when we talk. Like, honestly.
Me too. And you know what? I've got so many exciting things that I'm doing today. I can't even tell you. This afternoon, I'm running a Giphy workshop. So that's my first ever of that. I'm pumped for that. We have had some extraordinary Giphy results, and we did a client's one recently. Actually, it's 1 month today, and it's already had over 22,000 views. It's her little bouncing dog with her business on it. Like, anyway, I'm not going to get into
that's
that,
amazing.
Super pumped for a very exciting day. So even though I said last night there was one drop, my cup is full today. I'm raring to go. But
I'm sad that I can't be there because we have our retreat today, but my team are going to come and join.
That's what I'm really excited to talk to you about today, because I've been to one of our mutual clients is coming to your workshop. So we've been talking about that in group coaching and all of that, and the importance of stepping away. And we know this particular client, it's a really big deal because, like for her to shut her shop for a few days, well, she's actually not ended up needing to shut it. She's managed to be able to train someone up to be able to be there. But the process of everything to get to that point has been with a really big goal of what she needs to achieve by being able to step away to work on the business, not just in the business. So I'm really super keen to talk with you about that, Jenny. And how do you even start with trying to make people understand the importance of that?
It's such a huge question, and it's a big challenge. Like, you and I have been doing this, I think, since we met each other, is that we've taken some time, whether it's an hour, like we do our pre-CEO chats before this call every Friday, and most Fridays where we catch up and chat about what we're doing in the business, and we don't think about the actual business. It's the bigger picture that we tend to talk about. And I think the importance of taking time out, the way that I share it is basically like you just talked about, filling your cup. Essentially, your business is constantly taking from you. You're constantly managing challenges, and you're essentially in reactionary mode. You're constantly responding and reacting to the world around you. And if you keep doing that, you'll probably succeed, and there'll be some successes along the way, but you don't see the opportunities all the time. And you also don't see the roadblocks that are coming your way if you keep doing that. So by stepping away from your business, either whether it's a short time every week, a little bit of a bigger time every month, or coming to a retreat like ours for 3 days, it actually allows you to give you a new perspective on your business. So we go through your whole business. And even if you've been in business for 10 years and go, I know what my vision is, I have clarity about what I'm doing. Everybody who's been through the program has had at least 1 or 2 breakthroughs about why they're doing, what they're trying to achieve. And that only comes when you have a different perspective.
Actually, what I was just bending down to get was my workbook from when I did that retreat with you, Jenny, because I think that's a really big part of what you do too, that I think when some people go, okay, well, I am thinking about the business, I'm spending time on it, but actually having a manual or whatever it is, whatever you want to call it, and stepping aside, filling it in, that was a really powerful thing for me to do. I really enjoyed that. And I was moving my office around recently, because I've been repainting everything, and I pulled it out, and I was like, it was really interesting to go back through it, because I think it would have been probably close to a year ago. Do I even have a date on it?
I think it was February last year, so yeah, it would have been a year.
There you go.
Yep.
There you go then. So, and I was still at the stage of deciding what to call my new programs. So, like, wow, it feels like I've been doing these programs forever. They just feel like the perfect fit for me. So, yeah, it was just amazing. And some of the words that you've got in there, like, it's all around clarity, and it's all around, oh, and I love the saying you've got in there: if you don't know what you want to accomplish, you can't create your plan to get there, which is
Exactly
absolutely
right.
so true.
Thank
One of
you.
the things that we looked at first, though, that I loved was when you look at the levels or the types of business. And yes, I had been thinking about that kind of thing, but I think until I did that with you, I really hadn't gone, I don't even ever want to be that end one. I really don't ever want to be there. I'm happy with the track that I'm on.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think it's so interesting to
But you
do
don't
that
get
work.
that perspective, do you? I mean, we stuck in that. We only know what we know at the time, right? So when we're thinking about how do we change the business or what do we do with the business, yes, we all have some coaches or people we talk to, but unless you actually step away and change the perspective of those questions and ask the questions in a different way. And so that question around what type of business do you want to be, an employee? Do you want to be an employee, an owner, or an operator? That's a really powerful question, because some people actually say, I realize I just want to be an employee. The stress of all this has actually gotten too much for me. And now that we've mapped it out and I've seen what I have to do, I don't actually want to do it anymore. And they want to step back into a corporate role or a business role or working for someone else. And that's awesome. That is actually a really great outcome. And so many people I've spoken to go, oh, they failed in business. No, they didn't. They just made a choice that was right for them. And that's okay. And so we only get that clarity when we do get a chance to step out from the business and we ask ourselves questions around, where do we want to go? My favorite question that we ask at every retreat is that enough question about what it is that you want to actually achieve, not to limit opportunity, but to recognize what it actually means, what you actually have to do in order to achieve your enough figure. And again, having, whether it's a multinational, whether it's your enough figure might be, I want 5 businesses. Awesome. What do they look like? We don't ask those questions. We just have this dream. So yeah.
And we were talking a little earlier before we came on live about being in a position, I know this is not for everyone, but it's definitely something that, sits well with you and I, is having those love jobs, for example. So being able to charge what you need to charge for your enough figure to do what you need to do, but so that you can also put in 1 or 2 of those love jobs through the year, so that you're not just, if this is not your jam, that you're constantly just striving for that next dollar and that next dollar, that you do make the space that you can do those kind of jobs. So I think it's so interesting. Are you happy to chat with people about that, what that means, the employee, the operator, and the owner?
Yeah, of course. And that's a really important one. I think if you've got nothing, if you're thinking about wanting to step away for your business, this is a really great place to start. Give yourself about an hour. Find a nice space, give yourself an hour and ask yourself, do I want to be an employee? Which means you have no responsibility. You essentially do your job, you come and you go, you get your 4 or 6 weeks holiday a year, depending on the company that you work for, and you just basically perform your duties. The company runs with you, but it basically, if without you there, the company's not going to produce anything. So as an employee, employees are really important because they drive and keep the business running. So people think it's the owner that keeps the business running, but it's not. It's actually the employees that keep it running, which means you can't take a 6-month holiday. If you want to be an employee, you can't take 6 months away from the business because you'll have no business. And so many people are in that actually, they're just employed by themselves. The operator piece is where actually I love to play. So an operator piece means that I can step out of the business every so often if I want to. I like to manage, I can kind of move the parts around, but I still want to be on the tools. I still actually want to do the work we're going to do. And we just talked about, my consulting side of the business has gone a little crazy the last couple of months, but I'm never going to let go of the coaching. I love this piece. I love connecting with people. So I will never let that go. And I don't want to scale it. I don't want to be a fully automated, no live Jenny in coaching sessions. I don't want to do that. And so I'm okay. I will always be an operator on the tools, but I have the opportunity and I can set the business up. So I can step away for a month over Christmas or a month to go away when the borders open, and we can do that. And the owner is that kind of step above that. And the owner actually isn't on the tools. When you're truly an owner of a business, you actually step away from all those other dependencies, and you have the chance to step away, start something new, go and play, and not actually be on the tools. So as an owner, your job is actually just to manage essentially the finances and the vision and strategy, and everyone else, not below you or around you, actually does the delivery. So when you understand, do I want to be an owner where I have these moving parts that I watch but don't actually have to do? Or I want to be an operator where I can move the parts around, but I actually still want to, influence and act and do the delivery? Or do I actually, am I just an employee and I'm okay to do that, where I actually just keep doing the work and the business is dependent on me, which means I can't take those breaks? That question allows you then to develop a structure that supports the business. And that's that piece. It's that's the interconnection. It's not just because, oh, do I want to be an entrepreneur or I want to be this? It's actually about defining the structure of your business. And until you know which one of those you want, your structure is kind of fluid and becomes a little bit lost.
And, I think there's something about us business owners that feel like we're supposed to be striving for that owner version. And so it was when I was doing that retreat with you and I realized I've got no interest in doing that. I don't want to literally step away from my baby and not be, hands-on and connecting with those people and all of that. Yes, potentially I could grow to such a stage that I've trained up coaches to work in exactly the way I want them to and do some coaching and all that. Yes, that's a potential, but I never want to step away and know that it could run without me for a year. Now, I know for many people that would be their dream, but it's 100% not my dream at all. But I do love the idea of being able to step away for a month at a time, like an operator. And, as you know, this time I stepped away for 2.5 weeks at Christmas, my first time ever for stepping away like that. And it was great. So, maybe next year it's a month. Who knows? But yeah, it's interesting that both you and I are way more intrigued and in flow with that operator space.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people, because we do this as a passion, I think if you're selling a widget, or if you're selling product that basically earns you money when you sleep, because it's just, it's on Shopify or it's on WooCommerce or wherever it is, and it's churning over, that's an easier business to run, because and without having to be involved, and you can step away, and as long as your systems are set up place and your shipping set up, then you don't need to be doing that. And you can do that, and you can be that person who gets to travel around the world if you're selling that kind of product base, or even a tech base where you're selling an online service. But I think when you're like you and I, and we've talked about this before, we put our heart and soul in the work that we do. It's a demonstration of our love for what we do, our engagement with our clients, and also wanting to create something really special with our clients. It's a lot harder to automate that. And I've been talking to I've got myself a new coach, which I'm really excited about. We're starting next week. And one of the conversations they have automated systems, and they have their stuff that's full on just churn and burn. But he loves the coaching. He loves the conversation. He loves the banter and the toing and froing that he gets. And that gives him kind of that wind beneath his wings and fills his cup, so that he can then go off and play in that entrepreneur space where it's just kind of churn. But you can be both. And that's the cool thing. You don't have to just be one, but you need to understand what you want to be now, and then what you want to be in the future, because then we change and build our structure based on where we are now and where we want to go. And that's where the power of having these conversations, whether it's in a CEO day, whether it's taking 3 hours to just think about your business and wonder what's working and what's not, it actually helps you look at the world differently, look at your perspective, and then create ways to make that happen.
Jenny, and that's interesting that you say that about the new coach that you've got, etc., because it reminded me of the coach that you and I shared last year. Well, we didn't share, and we had the same coach, and he was, in my mind, incredibly successful with what he did. And then he's now left that space and sold, I believe he sold that business, and he's taken up a too good to turn down offer back in the corporate world. And yeah, so that's a really interesting, I understand he's kept one that, just could not let go of. But it's really interesting because life things change, stuff goes down, and it shakes us up, and it's like, okay, let's pivot, if we want to use that word. I know it's a little overused at the moment. Let's look for a new direction, and let's see where that might take us. So I think that's a big part of that, stepping away, looking at it with fresh eyes. As I've said to you before, I do those CEO days. I used to do them on a Friday, then I was doing them on a Wednesday. Now I've started doing them on a Monday. But I'm actually even trying to do a later start on a Monday. So I even just have a slow ease into it and start at like 9 instead of 7, for example. And then just do, the work behind the scenes and the looking at the big picture and all that. Sometimes I still have to squeeze in some client sessions or whatever. But on the whole, that's my plan for this next quarter is Mondays. So what about for you, Jenny? So you're running the retreat for people. What about in your business, how you can get that space and step back?
So for me, definitely through the coach. I mean, the coach that I've started having some conversations at the start of last year, and in fact, it was him that kind of working with him to kind of develop the ultimate authority and pivoting the business from the business owner's mastermind to the ultimate authority. And that came with just a discussion. It wasn't him coming up with the idea, it was him reflecting back at me. Oh, wow, this is actually what you're saying. Do you hear yourself? And I was like, oh, no, I don't. Because sometimes we forget to listen to the stuff that comes out, and there's some gold there that we just let drop to the ground because we're not actually paying attention to ourselves. So for me, I'm being really mindful and aware of listening to what's working for me, what's working in the business, and then deciding how I want to move that forward. So I've made lots of decisions in terms of the team building. I have, more people in the team now because I've recognized these are things that I don't want to do anymore. And so by letting go, I think my biggest challenge is letting go. And as soon as I start to let go of things, like even invoicing, I've let go someone else doing my invoicing. Now, it's taken me 5 years in business to be okay with someone else doing them. But when you trust somebody and you trust your team and you go, actually, why do I need to create my invoices every week? It's only 10 or 15 minutes. But if I can find 5 or 6 or 10 or 15 minutes a week, that adds up over a year. That adds up to opportunities for me to now focus on building new opportunities, writing proposals, doing other coaching sessions. So it allows me to innovate. So I think for me, the focus is always looking at what do I need to do? Why am I doing it? And is there a better way of doing it? And that's what I teach my clients. That's what we teach in the retreat. And I guess I'm living that practice on a daily basis to say, how do I release that? Now, I'm not going to say it's easy. There are sometimes that takes me like 3 months to know and actually accept the resolution that I decided, but it's actually going through that process, if that makes sense.
Totally makes sense. I love it. Well, I'm so, excited to hear about how it goes the next 3 days for you. And, it's just, I'm totally wishing I could be there. It's such a wonderful thing to immerse.
It's my favorite thing.
Pulling that business apart, looking at it with fresh eyes, and then pulling it back together. It's exciting. So
it
look
really
forward to chatting with you about it next week, Jenny.
Yes,
and so we have our beautiful thing that we've been offering to everybody at the moment during the month of Feb, where we stay on. We'll stop the live, we stop the recording, and then we stay on for the people that are here in the room with us on Zoom and do some free coaching, which I'm excited about.
I'm very excited about it. We had such a great chat last week, and I can't wait to actually have a chat this week to the people who have joined us. And remember, if you're watching us live and you want to jump into the room, you're welcome to. But otherwise, if you register on Zoom, then you can actually get some coaching from Carly and I after. And I think last week we actually had a really fun conversation with a couple of people about how they should structure their business. In fact, this conversation.
Yeah, absolutely. So yes, make sure you join us anytime for that last. Well, obviously during it, and then we stay on for that 15 minutes, little secret session. So some one-on-one coaching with both Jenny and I. So Jenny, how can everybody get in touch with you?
So the best way to get in touch with me is at Elephant in the Room AU. You can actually type that into, we've actually bought the URL of that now. So you can actually type that in, Elephant in the Room au.com, and you'll actually redirect you to our website, our Instagram, and our Facebook. We love our Insta and Facebook feeds. That's where we tend to hang out. But find us on our website for some little tips and hints. And of course, you're welcome to join me at a 3-day retreat where we can kind of hang out a lot if you'd like.
Awesome. Jenny, did you know that there's the new domains being released in Australia on the 24th of March, which is the .au. So you could be elephantintheroom.au.
No, I didn't, but now I'm going to be, and that will make me even happier. So
So
maybe we
if
can talk
you-
about some of those cool changes next week, as well as the reflection of how things are going.
Just to let you know, though, for anyone that's listening and having a panic about how can I get it, etc., they're not being released till the 24th of March. And if you own the .com.au, and that's what your ABN's registered to,
Yep.
then that means it's going to be held for you for 6 months anyway.
Well,
So
that's
you don't
amazing.
pay. There's a lot of scams going on out there at the moment where they're telling you you've got to pay to have it on hold. That's not the case at all. So yeah, we can chat about that next week for sure.
That is very cool. I love that because, you know, so how do people get help? We're going to chat about that next week. I could talk about that for hours. So let's get on to our coaching. But how do people find you, Kylie?
Hellomedia.team. Come and join my Facebook group, and obviously Instagram. You can follow us. Facebook's.dreamteam, the website's .team. But yeah, come into the Facebook group and hang out. And then that webinar workshop this afternoon is free. So if you want to find out more about that, jump onto our website and grab the link and come and learn how to make Giphies or GIFs, however you want to say it. And yeah, it's a very exciting new possibility for marketers out there. So yeah, get visible.
That is exciting. I love that. And I love it when I get video emails and things from you that have Giphies or Jiffies in them. They make me smile all the time. So definitely, if you can get onto that workshop today, people, get onto that workshop. And what time is it? What time is it New South Wales time at the workshop? At 1 p.m?
No,
2 p.m.
it's... Oh,
We'll put it in the chat. If you want to get on that workshop, we'll put it in the feed to make sure if you late register, so we can actually get people onto that, because it's such a good idea.
There you go. It is 2 to 4 New South Wales time.
2 to 4 New South Wales time. That's 1 to 3 in Queensland. Get onto that 2 hours this afternoon. It's Friday afternoon. Spend time with Kylie making Giphies.
Perfect. All right, let's get into this private coaching, Jenny. Thanks everybody for watching us live, for listening on the podcast, and for joining us on Zoom. And we'll see you next week. Thanks, guys. Bye.
Bye, everyone. Bye.